Welcome to another edition of In Conversation here on RockShowCritique.com. Today's guest is very special, Mr. John Ford Coley. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. It's been a while since we last had a chance to chat, and lots happened since then, even though it's only been a few years ago.
It seems like it was back, during the days of Moses. That's what it feels like, that long ago.
So, what have you been up to?
Well, actually, I just got back from a tour uh, last week, and part of the week prior to that, I was in New York playing at the Waywana Waywana Festival. I played with Pat Travers. Then I went up to Waukegan, Illinois, and I played with a Little River Band. And then immediately the next morning, jumped on a plane, went to Ojai, California, played with Ambrosia and Peter Beckett from Player. And then I waited a week and I played with them in Burbank last Sunday night. I finally got
Wow.
home.
Yeah,
It's
you've
beginning
been
to
out.
feel like the old days,
So take us back. When this all started to hit there, we were talking a little bit off the air here. Uh, tell me about what you were doing when all of a sudden, like the world kind of stopped here.
I was actually touring a lot. I probably lost about 60 some odd dates last year. And so they just kind of shut everything down, as you know. I don't have to explain any of that. But, like I said, I've studied alternative medicine most of my life. So there's a lot of information that I get. I'm just a diehard researcher. So if you say this, you can probably, figure out that I'm going to research it just to find out. And so I was out every day. As a matter of fact, my daughter was living at the condo here. And so she took off for Kentucky because she was afraid of the whole deal. And one day I called her up and I said, well, you doing okay? And she said, Daddy, I am about to kill somebody, and I don't even care who it is. That I've done everything that they've asked me to do. I've stayed in, I've been following all the rules and everything. She said, I'm just about to break and kill somebody. And I said, well, that's funny because I've been out every day, going here, going there, breaking all the rules the government said. I probably broke a few of God's too in the meantime. And I'm 72 years old and you're 24, and I'm in infinitely better shape than you are, especially emotionally. So it's like if somebody says, well, you got to do this, I go, we'll talk about it.
So being out on the road doesn't really phase you at this point at all. I'm sure you take all precautions and from what you learned from all your experiences, like you said.
Well, again, studying the way that I have, it's like I was talking earlier when I came up from Florida and I was listening to all the things that were going on at the very beginning of this. As I listened, I just said, nobody's telling anyone how to strengthen their immune system. They're just terrorizing them. And so I especially look at different things that are going to strengthen that, because even if you get sick, because again, this deal COVID, yeah, it's dangerous, it really is, but there's just precautions. If you're sick, you don't go out. If you've got this, you don't do that. And so I'm one of those, again, that keeps myself in pretty doggone good shape, at least as far as I know. And every time that I would put something up about, well, jump into D3 because that's a real strong thing. It's like I believe that there's only two seasons really. There's a D3 season and non-D3 season. You call it cold and flu season. I call it D3 season and non-D3 season. So if you're taking those things, yeah, it's going to benefit you very much. And again, not to panic, just not to panic. I mean, it was really funny because I would bring things to my wife from like Whole Foods or something like that. Not giving those guys a plug, but just I would bring it in with the bags. And she'd go, no, put it in the garage and I will come and get it. And I go, what? What do you mean put it in the garage and you'll come get it later? And she says, well, the thing gets on the bags. And I said, wait a minute. You're telling me to put these things in the garage because it gets on the bag, which is paper, but you have no problem picking up a dadgum pizza from the guy delivering it? I mean, give me a break, man. So, there was a lot of things like that that went on, and you just kind of scratch your head and go, nah, ain't doing it, ain't buying into this.
So when was your first show back after things got shut down and everything? When did you start back up again touring?
I did a couple of little dates here and there, but where it really started again was just about a month ago. Played a deal with my friends Billy Dean and Tom Worth over in Franklin Theater, which again had been canceled as many times as everybody else, and was just starting to travel pretty much. So we're going to go very heavy through probably the end of November, and then again December's always iffy, so you just kind of jump back into it again January, February.
Now, a lot of tours, big name tours out on the road, and a lot of bands and stuff like that are all getting this COVID and they're canceling shows and tours. Do you see it getting to another point of another shutdown or not really from where on your end?
Well, it's not going to shut down on my end because I didn't shut down the first time. But there's a lot of people, again, that are just listening to what other people are saying without doing any research on their own. Um, it's like, I had to go into the doctor. Geez, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, just, for the regular checkup. And I walked into the door, and the first thing this woman did, she stood right up and she said, "Have you had COVID?" And I looked at her and I said, "And good morning to you as well." And along with 98.7% of the population in the United States, no, I haven't. And she just stopped and sat down. It's like, okay, because again, people get scared. And if you have information, it's not half as scary. People that are getting it, like the guys, you mentioned some guys on the road. I've not run into anyone myself. I've heard of one or two people that have gotten it. By and large, no, they have not.
All right, well, that brings us to your show coming up here at the Riviera here. Tell us about what we can expect when you come in town here.
Well, I really enjoy playing the Riviera. I love the way that they've taken these old theaters and they've revitalized them and refurbished them and just made them so pristine and so beautiful. It's such a thrill to be able to play in those kinds of environments. And the Riviera is definitely one of those theaters that fits that bill. And just about every time that I've played there previously, I've played by myself, just piano and guitar,
Hmm.
and which is how I really prefer to play. I just like the acoustic sound so much better. But this time they asked me to come in with a band. So I've
Mm.
got the Criers coming up from New Jersey, and we're going to play. The other good thing too is that unfortunately Terry Sylvester, who was with the Hollies all those years, he hasn't been feeling really great. So he decided to bow out of this one, and we're going to be having Joey Mullen from Badfinger. So Joey's going to be opening the show, and then I'm going to be playing with the Criers. So we're going to be, it's the same thing. We just kind of enjoy taking people down memory lane, hearing a lot of songs that they might have heard before that Dan and I had done, some new songs, uh, maybe a couple of songs by other people. I might even play in honor of Terry a couple of Holly songs like Bus
Oh.
Stop or something like that. Just because, again, Terry's such a great guy and I love the guy to death. So him not being on the show is a little bit of a disappointment for me. So
Mhm.
we're going to honor him and play a couple of the songs from the Hollies.
Okay, of course, that's going to be September 14th at the Riviera there in North Tonawanda.
Right.
Um, so tell us what keeps you on the road all these years? You know, you could easily probably just sit back, retire, do whatever you want, but here you are still touring.
Honest to goodness, man, I really love it. I enjoy playing. I love getting up in front of a crowd. It's always new. It's always different. I don't even even after all this time, I still enjoy playing the songs. I don't like listening to them on the radio or listening to them, you know, or rehearsing them. I hate to rehearse them because it's like if I've played this song one time, I've played it 150 times in rehearsals with different bands. So it's like I know the song, you guys learn it. So
Yeah.
it's just it's enjoyable. I mean, I love to play all the time. I play here all the time. I'm always running through some classical pieces because that's how I was trained, or Bach or Beethoven or Mozart or things like that. And listening to different music, it's just a very enjoyable part of my life, really.
Now, a couple of years back, it seems like actually probably it was almost 10 years ago actually, that you were on the Sail Rock tour. That tour where, man, there was a lot of people on that tour, man. What a great tour. Is there any talk about any of that starting to maybe come around again?
You know, it probably will. Hopefully, it does. I mean, I play a lot with different groups. Like when I was in New York, I played with Pat Travers. When I was in Illinois, I played with Little River Band. Then when I was in California, it was Peter Beckett from Player and Ambrosia. So, you know, different times we might have Ambrosia because I go out with those guys a lot, or Orleans.
Hmm.
Uh, and we'll have Al Stewart and or Gary Wright or Stephen Bishop, you know, just a lot of different players that have been around over the years. So, I mean, it's great for me to sit on the side of the stage and go, yeah, I remember that song. That was a good song, you know, and I get just as excited as everybody else does.
Yeah, that was a great tour. I think Christopher Cross was on there. He closed it. That was a great show. You all came out at the end and did a big group thing, and that was
Yeah,
just
I think we did Take It Easy by the Eagles or something like that.
yeah. I mean, that was just
Yeah,
great.
yeah, that had Christopher, it had Firefall, Orleans, of course, they were the backing
Hmm.
band. Gary Wright, Player. I mean, we had a number of people that were on that tour.
Yeah, yeah, that was one great tour. I'm glad I got to see that one. I just would like to see another one down the road. We'll see. Like you said, that would be
Yeah, well,
great.
you never can tell. It depends on what they want, you
Yeah.
know.
All right. Now, like you said, it's hard for you to listen to your songs on the radio and stuff, but give me what song would do you pick as your all-time best song that you're known for? What would you say it would be?
The one that we were known for would probably be I'd Really Love to See You Tonight. My favorite single that we had was Love is the Answer. And I think probably my favorite all time career song would have been Soldier in the Rain.
Ah.
So they're you know they're all different. Dan and I played for so long together.
Hmm.
We started off in high school, and I mean, even when we would go into the record companies, you know, we had played soul and rock and pop and you know the psychedelic stuff. We even ended up playing fusion jazz. So when we would go into the record companies to play our songs, they'd
Hmm.
look at us and go, "What are you guys, man? Are you like pop, rock, country, classical? What are you?" And we go, "Yeah, pretty much," you know. So it's like when I play, that's the elements that I go for. I don't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to write a country song today. Whatever comes out is just what comes out. Because again, the training was extensive. And I even put out an album called Eclectic a couple of years ago. And it runs the gamut. I tell everybody, the only thing it doesn't have on it is rap or Lithuanian disco polkas. That's about the only thing, you know. So I enjoy playing a wide variety of styles and music.
Yeah, and a lot of another thing you've done a lot of in your career was acting. Have you done anything recently at all?
Not recently. I think the last thing that I did was a short called Caroline. That was a couple of years back. But I mean, acting. I loved acting because if you're not familiar with it, music. When you go out with these guys, you are out for a month and a half or so, something like that. Same guys. So after the first couple of days, the jokes are gone. The you know all the clothes, you know the fashion, all it's all gone. There's really nothing to talk about, and none of these guys can talk about nuclear fission or fusion like I do. You know, so it's like they're boring as all get it. I don't want to talk about music. I'm joking. But with actors, you would have day players. So you got somebody coming in 2 days, they've got 2 days worth of parts, maybe a week, something like that. So you're always getting a fresh supply of jokes and stories. And like I said, I'd written a book several years ago called Backstage Pass. So it contains a lot of these stories in it. And I think one of the ones that I enjoyed the most was Bruce Springsteen's sister, Pamela, was in the film. I'm the drummer in the band. Timothy B. Schmidt was the bass player. We had, different players, Kathy Mary Stewart, Cameron Dye, a bunch of really good people. So she gets fired in the film. She doesn't know she's gotten fired. She walks in with us trying out the new girl playing organ. So she flips out. That was her role. Well, when she came in the first day, she and I just hit it off like we were brother and sister, And so she's explaining to me, John, I'm trying really hard, man. It's like, I'm trying to get out from under Bruce's shadow because everybody looks at me as Bruce's sister. And I'm studying really hard and I'm becoming as believable as I can, just taking all these classes and stuff. And so I'm just encouraging her and saying, hang in there. Don't worry. You're going to get past all this stuff. The next day she comes in. She runs up to me, grabs me by the arm, and she says, John, I talked to my brother Bruce last night. He loves your music. He knows who you are. He says he'd love to get together with you sometime. You guys can maybe, play or write together. And he told me to give you his number. And I said, really? And she said, no, I was just acting. But tell me, did you believe me? So, it's like things like that would go on all the time. And I just laughed most of the time.
All right. Well, as far as when you're not out on the road, what do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun? Well, I believe it or not, I shoot pistols quite a bit. So you might find me at the range somewhere. I used to work horses a lot. I'm an old cowboy, as a matter of fact, I've still got my ropes and my spurs in the truck, in case something comes up. But I read a lot. Uh, I just keep myself busy, doing a lot of different things. You're not going to find me home very frequently at all. I mean, I'll be at the gym. I just take off and I just go. I was telling somebody not too long ago that my kids are always going, "Where are you, Dad?" They'll call me up, "Dad, where are you?" And I go, "I don't know. I think I'm in Maryland." And they go, "Maryland? What are you doing in Maryland?" And I go, "I don't know yet. I haven't figured it out." So I just take off and go.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you in the process of releasing any new music or anything?
I had two albums, one called Eclectic. Again, that's 26 brand new songs. Um, the first side is pretty much band oriented. So I'd written songs, with Bill Champlin and Vince Gill,
Oh.
I had Vince come in and play guitar. Lydia Salnikova from the band Bearing Straight, Jamie O'Neill, who did There Is No Arizona. Gosh, who else was on that? T. Graham Brown, Colin Ray came in and sang on a couple of songs. So the second side is mostly acoustic, kind of more ballady kinds of things. So that's brand new. Then I had one called Live in Israel and Los Angeles, and so that was pretty much just the show. I played a couple of new songs on it, a bunch of old things, some new things. Then recently, I put out a brand new one. As a matter of fact, it's just about to go up, called Sketches, Volume One,
Mm.
and it was a lot of the songs that I had written for either films or just demos, and we just wanted to put it out and just kind of get it in people's hands. So that's called Sketches, Volume One, and then we had the book, Backstage Pass. So that's not drugs, sex, and rock and roll. That's just all the stories like the one you heard about Pamela.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to tell anybody about? Any upcoming projects or anything else?
We're just, we're at work and come out to see us.
Mhm.
Just like I tell everybody when I'm on stage, I'm a big hugger. You need a hug? Come on up. I'll give you one. So, and you'd be surprised the number of people that I get hugs from. It's absolutely hilarious. And I'm still here. So,
All right. Well, that will be September 14th at the Riviera Theatre. Come on down and see John and his band for this show. And you said
enjoy
Joey will be
Holland.
there. Yep. That'll be definitely a good show. Can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, we're going to be playing a lot of things again that you might remember. We're going to play some new stuff because again, it's always fun to be able to play the new songs and expose people to that.
Yeah, and that's one thing I like about artists who don't play the same old set over and over. It's always good for you guys personally, probably too. You like to mix it up. You don't want to be doing the same thing over and over because it would get monotonous.
Well, the thing is that you got to keep it fresh. I
Right.
remember one of the greatest lessons I learned. I don't want to drop names, but we toured with Elton John in England. And so one of my favorite songs was On the Border, the Holy Moses song. And
Mhm.
one night he didn't play it. And I said, Elton, man, I love that song. Why didn't you play it? And he said, I am tired of it. He says, I'll pick it up in a month or so. And I went, oh, okay. I mean, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
But, and then, just the magnitude of the number of hits the man had, you can understand there's no room for new music. And that's always something that you want to do. You want to play some of the new songs and kind of expose people to that, but they didn't really come to hear that. They came to hear the songs that they're familiar with. As a result, you just play a lot of those.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time here, sir, and have a good show out there and stay healthy.
Oh, we will. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. We come into Buffalo, every now and then, and it's always a great
Mhm.
town to come into. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Very good. Well, you take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate you
you.
coming on. Bye
All
bye.
right.